Palestinians call the founding of Israel the Nakba, or the catastrophe. 76 years ago, more than 750,000 people were forcibly evicted from their homes. And today, they're going through an even greater catastrophe. More than 35,000 men, women, and children have been killed by Israel's war on Gaza.
We lived through the Nakba not just once. We were displaced several times. Palestinian exiles. In 2014, we were displaced. In 2008, we were displaced. In 2022, we were displaced. I was a child in 1967 as well, and the circumstances were very difficult. A person does not feel themselves except in their home. A very bitter reality, and the situation is difficult, a tiring and boring life. We have begun to wish that we would die under the rubble of our homes rather than be abandoned.
Our life is a tragedy. Life is non-existent. People have been destroyed. How many martyrs have died? Thousands. Half of the population of Gaza has died. Gaza has been destroyed. The rich person has become a beggar in Gaza. Israel has taken us back 100 years.
We have our correspondent Tareq Azzoum, who's joining us now from Deir el-Balah in central Gaza. So Tareq, the war in Gaza is described by some as another Nakba. Talk us through what people are going through.
Well, the Nakba, in fact, Deir, has been the core of the Palestinian struggle, in which thousands of Palestinians were forcibly expelled from their town and villages. And we clearly see that in 1948, we're talking about at least 15,000 Palestinians being killed in more than 500 villages that later paved the way for the establishment of the Jewish communities. And now Palestinians see that in 2024 they are witnessing the worst Nakba ever that happened during the history of the conflict, which they have been describing to be the deadliest ever. We are talking about 2 million Palestinians being internally displaced from their towns. They are unable to return to the houses or even to retrieve their basic rights of living. And now Palestinians ending up the situation with them to live in makeshift tents that completely lack all kinds of basic necessities and supplies, and living in a very tiny strip of land. And this, among Palestinians, have been described to be the worst ever, as their plight ongoing still on the ground in the humanitarian and security levels. So clearly Palestinians right now see that they are witnessing a repeat of the painful history in which they have been completely deprived and forcibly evicted from their towns. As Palestinians, we have been talking to them, they have been expressing their deep sadness and frustration to their humanitarian situation that they are experiencing now, as they say that there is no any end for this nightmare in the foreseeable future.
And Tareq, the Israeli forces, we understand, are pushing deeper into areas like the north of the Strip as well as the south. Bring us up to speed with what's happening with the latest attacks. What sort of resistance is being put up as well?
Well, now the Israeli military focus is pretty much on Jabalia and Rafah district. Now, we know that they have been describing the military operation in Rafah to be limited, but with the new controversial military orders of evacuation for residents in the central area, there is more growing intention by the Israeli military to expand the fighting to reach to the central areas. But now the fighting is still ongoing in the As-Salam and Al-Jnaina neighborhood, as we have been seeing more videos emerging and released by the military wing of Hamas show how close is the contact fighting between Hamas fighters as the Israeli military, as they have been using military anti-tank missiles and explosive devices in order to confront the maneuvering military tanks in Rafah district. But in the north, the battles are still ongoing in the very narrow streets of Jabalia refugee camp, where the fighting there has been described to be the hardest ever, as the Israeli military have been announcing of a number of casualties being reported among his soldiers on the ground there. But in the past hour exactly, Dareen, the Israeli military has announced the withdrawal from Al-Zaytun neighborhood after a military operation that lasts for 6 days, as they have managed to destroy a clinic there, alongside with at least 4 schools that people were using as mass shelters for them, as residents started to return to Azzoum neighborhood in order to check the capital destruction being left behind the Israeli military after the withdrawal from the entire area there.
Okay, Tareq, thank you so much. Tareq Azzoum reporting from Deir el-Balah in central Gaza.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.